Hello and welcome back to 1874. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by the For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast, Neil Dunworth. And today it's a special show. I say every show is special, to be honest, even if it's not. I just call everything a special show, it seems, in the intro when I'm panicking with what I'm going to say. But it is another tier list show. So I've done a couple of these with Max. Unfortunately for Max, he's not of age like Neil and I. So what we've done is we've come up with a list of prominent goalkeepers for Aston Villa in the Premier League era, and we're going to rate those goalkeepers. Some will be club legends, some will be in the bin, I suspect, and we'll just go through them, have a laugh, telling some old stories and just trying to go through this. Neil, I basically decided to do this because, as I mentioned on my show yesterday or the day before, I ended up spending the evening with Villa's old goalkeeper coach, Paul Barron, and he was running through some stories with me. It just made me think of all the goalkeepers that we'd had. So I thought it would be a fun time for all if we just kind of went through them and talked about them. So shall we start? Are you well first? I haven't asked you how you are. That's rude of me.
I am really well. I'm going meeting a group of Aston Villa fans. Some of them have come over from Birmingham here to Galway and County Galway in Ireland to see Deck Pearce tonight. So I'm going to drink my snot off, see Deck, hopefully get to meet him afterwards. And there's going to be I think it's going to be 8,000 or 9,000 people at this thing. So this is just going to be proper old school rave tonight, and looking forward to it.
VIP access. Deck Pearce has rolled out the red carpet, has he?
Would never ask him for it, but if he wants to upgrade us, at the door, he can, yeah.
No, when we get off this show, I'm going to text him. I'm going to text him and tell him to roll out the red carpet for you. You'll notice as well that Neil and I have gone with a theme in our backgrounds today. If you're watching via video, we actually have the same goalkeeper top in the background by coincidence, but Neil's is Mark Bosnich and mine is Michael Oakes, although I did choose to get that because I thought it made the goalkeeper top a little bit niche. And then I've got one of the ones that is probably worth thousands of pounds behind me, one of the Bozzy ASIC shirts. They're really worth some money, aren't they? But I'd never, ever sell this. Even if I was in financial ruin, this top would go nowhere.
I have one that's coming to me that is, I would imagine, is obviously a counterfeit remake or something like that. But I bought it on eBay, and I'm half hoping that the person who sold it to me didn't have a clue what they sold me. So we'll see.
Send him after the show and I'll investigate for you. I'm quite good with stuff like that. I'll have some investigations. I just mentioned if you're watching, obviously you can listen to this show, but you'll probably, again, it's a tier list. You'll get more out of it with the visuals, so it's probably worth switching over to YouTube if you can, if you're listening to this via audio. But if you can't watch, then I'll try and make it as hospitable for those that are listening as possible. So Neil Dunworth, let's get into it. Here is the tier list. I'm just going to switch my screen, but everything looks like it's working okay. And we're going to start randomise the order of these goalkeepers as well. And we're going to start with one of the nicest men in football now, Jed Steer.
Look, obviously Jed Steer was, he could fit into 2 or 3 of those categories there, I think, really. But look, the way that the Twitter is kind of consumed, or social media in general is consumed kind of football fandom. And this guy, for that stare down, Mason Holgate never, ever, ever recovered from it. I don't know. I think there's a good argument to be made here that he could be in cult hero status because, that's probably the most fitting for him, because it's the question he gets asked all the time by Aston Villa fans.
As you were talking, then I should say as well, the categories are club legend, cult hero, good, okay/able deputy, and holes in their gloves is the one that you don't want to be on if you're an ex-Aston Villa goalkeeper or a current Aston Villa goalkeeper. See, I made the cult hero status basically for Jed Steer, but now part of me is thinking, because of what he did, part of me thinks he is a club legend, Neil. There is an argument for both. I don't think he's going in any of the other ones, but I know he didn't play loads of games for Villa. But part of me thinks in some ways for what he did that he would be a club legend.
The thought process for me is that it was an absolute revolving door. It was a carousel of goalkeepers at the time when Jed Steer came in. And I can't remember. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how many games he played. But
I bet it was less than 30.
Yeah, I've got 13 in my mind for that season for whatever reason. I don't know why. I could be miles off the mark on that one. But yeah, for me, I think it's cult hero status. I think club legend is, would we put up a statue of that person outside? And that's subjective as well, because look, we're going to get to talk to somebody who's on the list there who could be called a club legend, but depending on what happens in this transfer window, I think people might want to put a statue up of him. But yeah, that's kind of my thought process on it.
He played 19 league games for Villa, Jed Steer, so that would be across Premier League and Championship. I'd imagine most of them were in the Championship. I think we've talked ourselves into into cult era. As I say, I did put that in there initially just for him. One of the loveliest guys in football. Met him a few times and spoke to him a fair bit. What a lovely, lovely bloke Jed Steer is, and for what he did for this club, he will always be remembered. Next up, Neil. I mean, definitely a goalkeeping legend in general. Maybe not at Aston Villa Football Club. Peter Schmeichel. What are your abiding memories of Peter Schmeichel?
I remember being floored going to I was working in a work experience. So was I in transition year? Was I 16, maybe 17 when Schmeichel signed? I can't remember because I subsequently went down to work for this company every summer then for years and years and years afterwards. So essentially I was going to work in the morning with my dad was dropping me into work, and I remember it came across the radio and I was like, what? Of course, late teens Neil, or mid to late teens Neil, runs into work being completely impressionable and starts trying to tell anybody who'd listen, and nobody there's a Villa fan, nor gives a crap about football. And Peter Schmeichel just signed for Aston Villa. I think really from his tenure at the club, look, once again we were treading water. We weren't really a sexy club at that stage. That NTL jersey. There's some good times that I remember from that jersey. I remember when Angel and Vassell were up front and they'd scored quite a few goals, I think, to start the season, but then things just petered out. And I don't think that coincided with Schmeichel's time at the club, but we had David Ginola was our bums off seat moment. Famously, Doug Ellis said that. But he scored a goal, Peter Schmeichel, for Aston Villa, and it was quite a good goal. But for the club, for what he was, good.
Now, John Gregory signed him purely because of his name. Yeah. I think he'd spent 2 years in Portugal, hadn't he? And he was available again. And John Gregory decided to ship David James off to West Ham. I think James wanted to go at the time, and he thought, we'll get this legend of the game in Peter Schmeichel. Got to say, my memories of him are not brilliant, Neil.
Yeah.
I remember watching Villa play away at Blackburn and getting absolutely, I think it might have even been his last game for the club, because he soon got cast aside under Graham Taylor because he wasn't going to be there the next season. Tried to do some keepy uppies or something, and he got tackled, and we conceded, and it was 3-0. I remember my dad falling off his chair in his when we were watching that game together at his house. So I think there's a big argument for Peter Schmeichel. As much as he was an absolute legend of the game, he was bloody awful for Villa now.
Yeah, well, looking at the tiers that are there, I'm open to anything with Peter Schmeichel, because for me, I think that was literally a PR exercise signing him as well, because it would have it was just to make the back page of the newspaper, to make Villa relevant, because we were pretty irrelevant then to a lesser degree. Then United were signing the likes of, if I'm not mistaken, around then Juan Varane and all those guys. There was money starting to come into the Premier League. Ronaldo was moving every second summer. R9, that is, there was big money being spent on players, and Villa could not spend money, so you had to kind of rely on getting named players in there. Schmeichel was one, Ginola was another, and yeah, look, I'm okay wherever you want to really put him, to be honest with you. If it's holes in their gloves,
he's got his holes in the gloves.
Do it.
Mate, honestly, it sounds stupid to put Schmeichel in there for that, but he played for us for a season, and honestly, he was rubbish. I remember Jari Litmanen lobbing him for Liverpool at Villa Park as well after a mistake.
Yes,
he fell over or something. I can't remember, but yeah, I can't remember any good games from Schmeichel. I can only remember that goal that you spoke about, but we still lost that game as well. So yeah, I think holes in their gloves.
He scored 6 goals.
I know,
for Hvidovre before moving to
great side.
Whoa.
Good knowledge now. Been on my scout again, haven't you?
I'm just looking at his Wikipedia here.
Yeah. Let's do Michael Oakes then. Nice goalkeeper, Michael Oakes, into man. Was a really good deputy for Mark Bosnich until Bosnich had that shoulder injury in the 98-99 season, and Michael Oakes had to take over for a prolonged period of time. And I've spoke to John Gregory about this and interviewed John Gregory about this in the past, and he basically said that if Michael Oakes was playing in front of the North Stand and him and his team looked at this, he used to keep a clean sheet and not concede at that end and make really great saves, but he struggled having the whole 10 behind him. And I remember him being rooted to his line quite a lot. But I think as deputies go, I think generally he was okay, Michael Oakes.
Oh yeah, I would have him in okay able deputy. I'd be honest, I don't remember anything massively positive about him or massively negative about him. But one thing I do remember about him is that a former Aston Villa player mentioning that he had to catch a lift often with Michael Oakes to training, and that this player might have.
Was that Paul by any chance?
It was. Yeah, I might have
God,
taken a
sorry, I
stop
should. Why
off.
am I calling him Paul? I've got absolutely no right to call him Paul whatsoever. I've met him once.
Used to catch a lift with him and used to make Michael Oakes pull into a shop every so often for him. But yeah, that's what I remember from McGrath's book. All right. Yeah, but absolutely. Look, no animosity towards Michael Oakes.
No.
Very, very able deputy, and as you say, you've got him there in the back of your and shirt behind you. And I remember I've got a cogent memory as well of playing football in the schoolyard, and I had injured myself playing football for my local team, and I had to stand in goals. And somebody had sent me home a program from a Villa game, and this was obviously before he became an entity at Aston at Villa and played first team. But he was marked as the third goalkeeper in the back of the program. So I stood in the goals, and I might have been 8 or 9 or 10 maybe. And people were like, "Who are you? So you're goals?" Because I'm this fella. I'm Gary Pallister playing centre half or whatever the case was. You know, his kids do.
Yeah.
And I went, "I'm Michael Oakes." And they were like, "Who's he?" And I was like, "You don't know Michael Oakes? Oh, he's Aston Villa's like sub goalkeeper. Like, you don't know him? Oh my god!" And I have a vivid memory in the back of my mind of doing that. And I still cringe to this day.
Mate, I can trump that story. I can come up with a more cringe story than that around Michael Oakes. So when I was a kid, every year, my birthday was in September, I'd get money and I'd go to the Villa shop with my dad to get a top. And this was the year I wanted that Asics Muller goalkeeper, not the one behind me, the one the most prominent one, you know, the one that I'm talking about. So we went to the shop to get it and get Bosnich put on the back, but then went to get it printed and they were like, "We've run out of ends. So we can't do Bosnich and we can't do Spink." So my dad was like, "Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back in a few weeks." And I was like, "No, I need the shirt now." So he was like, "Could you get your own name on the back then?" And I was like, "No, I'm going to get 30 Oaks on the back." So I got 30 Oaks on the back of this shirt. It must be the only 30 Oak shirt that was ever sold in that year. He'd never played a game for the club. I wish I still had it. I had a goalkeeper's top, Muller Asics goalkeeper top with 30 Oaks on the back, and the guy had never played a game. And when they were printing it, the guy said, "I've never printed an Oak shirt before." That's even sadder than what you've just said now. So there we go. That's a nice little story there. I like these things because they do take you down memory lane a little bit.
Yeah.
Next up, you've already referenced him on this show. Emi Martinez, current Aston Villa number 1, although, of course, wearing the number 23 shirt. Is he going to be here at the start of the season? We don't know, quite frankly, at the moment. Anything could happen. But let's put all that aside. Where would you put him now for what he's done for Aston Villa Football Club?
Mine is very simple, and I don't feel I have to justify putting him in the club
there
legend.
already.
Yeah, I don't have to. I don't think I have to justify it. There were people who can justify him downward, who can try and justify him downwards. He's the goalkeeper that, like, what he's done since he's been at the club, what he's done for the club. Yeah, for me, it's an easy club legend.
Yeah, he's got to be there. We don't need to go into detail on Emi Martinez. Everyone knows about him, and it's all we seem to be talking about as podcasters at the moment. Is Emi Martinez. So yeah, he goes into the club legends tier. I think as well. You know, I don't want to be a spoiler here, but I always used to say Mark Bosnich, best goalkeeper I've ever seen for Aston Villa. You know, in the last few years, it's been Emi Martinez and Mark Bosnich. So yeah, club legend of the game. Look what he's won. At the end of the day, he can't go anywhere else for what he's done for Aston Villa. Now, it would have been nice if the next goalkeeper could have been fitted into the good category, because so far we've got one in club legend, one in Cole's hero, one in OK able deputy, and one in holes in their gloves. But I don't think I can put Scott Carson in good for Aston Villa. He was in the team that finished 6th now. But again, my memories are that if we'd have had a good goalkeeper at that point, or not Scott Carson, even if we'd have had Sorensen in goal that season, I think we would have finished higher.
He never mentally recovered from his England exploits.
No, he did. That's fair, actually. He was okay up until that point. That is what finished him, isn't
really
it? That Croatia game.
Yeah, that Croatia game. Was that the game with the Wally with the Brolly as well?
Yeah, that was Wally with the Brolly.
Yeah, so like that game was probably all the negative feedback that game got for the whole team in general. I don't think he dealt with it really well. He's going to be a cult hero if this is the Man City podcast that's being done. If we were Man City fans, but we're obviously not. I'm going to put him in. I put him in the OK able deputy because we still managed to finish 6th, so he wasn't that bad.
Okay, that's fair.
I wouldn't put him, and I think we remember him because, like, maybe he threw in a couple of stinkers here and there, and maybe he just wasn't what we expected of him. And plus the drop off, I think,
We
was
didn't
stark.
sign him either, did we? We decided not to sign him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Did we have him in loan 2 years in a row?
Just
I
one.
think was it 1 year? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Number
Well,
22 now. My squad number knowledge now is number 22. Yeah, I was going to put him in holes in their gloves, to be fair, but you're right. You know, if you finish sixth, you have contributed. He played most games as well, didn't he?
yeah,
So unless we were playing Liverpool because he was on loan from there, he played every other game. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. I would have put him in holes in their gloves initially, but you've swayed me around to OK/able deputy. Talking of holes in their gloves now. Next up is Robin Olsen, and the one after that as well, maybe in the holes in their gloves category. I don't think we can put Olsen anywhere else, can we? Oh,
Cult,
Neil, that pause.
no, I was trying to make a joke about putting him into cult hero. That was where the pause was.
Yeah, he was the world's number
I
two.
think we can. It was the world's number 2. Yeah. Actually, I think I was there the day that song first got sung,
Oh, really?
and it was started drunkenly by. Well, I was drunk. He wasn't. By one of the lads that I was with, and then everybody, all of a sudden, there was there was about 600 or 700 people outside Villa Park singing it, and then you go into the stadium, and then everybody's singing it. You know, so. But yeah, I think look, we could do rage bait, and we could put him in the good category, or we
No.
could actually say the truth and put him in the holes in their gloves. Because look, look, Robin Olsen was a massive drop off from Emmy Martinez, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about that game you were at where the world's number 2 was sang, I'm imagining we lost and conceded 4 goals because that seems to be what happens when Olsen was on the pitch in the main. What game was it? Can you remember what game it was?
It was Martinez started, but he actually it was a situation whereby I can't remember what the exact situation was, because as I say, I had been carrying over from the night before, but his name was called out outside the ground. I think it was called out from maybe one of the performers in the fan zone or something like that. And then all of a sudden it started going. It was maybe about 2 years ago now at this stage, but can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's got to go in holes in their gloves. Lovely man, I'm sure. Very well liked in the dressing room.
They'll give
Always
him
well
a
spoken of.
prize.
Yeah, Neil Cutler raves about him, in fairness, when I speak to Cuts, but I can't put him anywhere else. My abiding memory of him is what I just said, that we seemed to concede 4 every time he was on the pitch, pretty much. But that I remember there being like a social media video before the FA Cup tie against West Ham. Did Olsen play that game? Olsen played a game anyway at some point earlier on in the season, or was on the bench earlier on in the season. I think it was the West Ham game. He didn't play. I think did Martinez play? No, it was Olsen. He wore the special kit, didn't he? Olsen played in that game, and obviously I think we won that night. Well, we did win that night against West Ham. And I was watching some social media content. I could see in the background Robin Olsen was signing autographs in front of the Trinity, and someone handed him a pen, and he dropped it on the floor. And I was like, if anyone else notices this in the background, that's going to be all over social media. No one ever did, but if you look carefully around content at that time, you'll see what I saw. And I thought, that probably sums it up really, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, let's put Peter Encoming in holes in their gloves now, because he's not going
Holes in
anywhere
their
else, is it?
feet. Holes in their
Holes in the
feet.
feet as well. Not a good poker player, because that goal should never have stood against Birmingham City, but his reaction led to it standing. We don't need to go into detail on Peter Encoming, but again, I think he was okay, and then he made a mistake and just never ever recovered from it.
Am I right in saying that match? Like, I remember, is it the same match where Dion Dublin headbutted Robbie
No,
Savage?
same season, different
Same
game.
season, different game.
He made a mistake, though, in the game at Villa Park as well. He found himself back in goal, and we lost 2-0 that night as well. They did the double over us, unfortunately. He made a mistake that evening as well, and Jeff Horsfield scored.
Jeff Horsfield, Jesus.
Yeah, so we don't need to go into detail because we don't want to put ourselves through that. But yeah, Peter Encoming, holes in their gloves, without a doubt. And I think this next one could be a contender for holes in their gloves, could be a contender for okay. And for one season was actually really, really good under Paul Lambert, but I'm not sure where you put Brad Gouza.
I think you put him in good. I put him in okay. And I think, I think you do, because I think with Guzan, he was a victim, as a lot of goalkeepers have been for Aston Villa, just a victim of kind of the unpredictable nature of Aston Villa, you know.
Also, just not being good with his feet.
Yeah, but like you remember games like the 6-4, the 6-2, whatever it was against Blackburn.
Yeah.
You know, his name does come to mind for positive things as well. Would you put him in the okay able deputy? That's what I said, wasn't it? Okay able deputy.
I think you did say that. I think that he was an unfortunate victim, like you say. Villa were just rubbish at the time, weren't we, under Paul Lambert? And he'd been there under previous managers as well, but he made himself number one, didn't he, and usurped Shay Given. But I think football was just starting to change when he was in goal, and goalkeepers are expected to be a bit better with their feet. And I think he had about size 15 feet, and I'm not sure he always put his boots on the right feet. So that was obviously a problem. And I just remember that relegation season, just his attitude stank a little bit, and I just thought he was really, really bad in that season. And not signing a goalkeeper in that summer was quite negligent from Villa, and one of the reasons we went down. So part of me thinks holes in their gloves, but he was involved in some positive moments as well. It feels harsh to put him with the keepers that we've put in holes in their gloves. Oh, God.
No, I
You know
think it's
what?
going to be okay.
We'll get away with this because we'll put him in able deputy, because at one point he was an able deputy to Brad Friedel, and he made some saves in the cup run that we got to the League Cup final, the Carling Cup as it was. Then he made some penalty saves against Sunderland, didn't he?
Yeah, I remember using him as an example when I was having a debate with one of my mates who's from the States. He used him as an example for the fact that Americans can't kick the ball. They're brilliant at throw. Like, Americans in general can't kick things. They're brilliant at throwing things, incredible at throwing things. I was making that argument based on American football at the time, why they find kicking American football so difficult. Obviously, I was being I was trying to rise my friend at the time, but I remember using Brad Guzan as an example. During that debate where I was just trying to get him to tear his hair out.
Well, as someone who can't kick, I'm not particularly good at kicking. I'm not particularly good at throwing either, so I'm not going to.
I'm useless at throwing.
I'm rubbish, mate. I can throw a football quite far. Like a goalkeeper overarm throw. I can throw a football relatively far. Anything else, just forget about it. I used to hate it at school when it was throwing. Next one, David James. Now, as I said, I was with Paul Barron the other night, and he said for a couple of years really enjoyed working with David James. I think people forget. Yeah, he was replacing Mark Bosnich. He was a good goalkeeper. I know he made a mistake in the FA Cup final, but he used to recover well from mistakes. He was very athletic, a little bit ahead of his time as a goalkeeper, I would say. A bit of a nutcase, but I think he's a good goalkeeper and might be the first person that we can put in good.
I'm going to put him in. I will put him in good because I've got very fond memories of him. I don't have fond memories of him leaving. No. I thought he could see the wood from the trees a lot quicker than us fans could because subsequently how the team went. But I think if he'd stayed at Villa, we would have had a lot more solid base during those years of when there's so much kind of change and turmoil. Yeah, absolutely. And at the time, he was a big signing, and we got him for half nothing as well. It was like 1.8 million or something like that.
Mate, that memory is absolutely incredible. It was 1.8 million.
Yeah. It was for less. Like, I remember, and that was another signing where I went. Well, again, back in the days of teletext and no Twitter or anything. I remember looking at going, what? Villa have signed David James. Jeez, that's pretty good business.
I remember not being sure about it. My dad filling my head with noise that he wasn't going to be very good, and he couldn't believe he was replacing Mark Bosnich. But my dad was wrong. And now he probably doesn't even remember that David Jones has played for Villa.
The man to replace the man is always going to be there's always going to be skepticism. Like, that's why if Martinez leaves, that's why there's going to be conversation around his replacement for sure.
Yeah, John Gregory said to me how good Jones was as well. So I had to be prepared to take it from the people that were there. But my memories of him were that he's a good goalkeeper. I remember him making a great save from George Weah against Chelsea in probably, it would have been the year 2000, tipping it over the bar from a header. Don't know why I remember that, but I do. Next up, straight in holes in their gloves. Lovre Kalinic, £7 million in the Championship, 50 grand a week. I won't name the names of the players, but from speaking to a couple of players who were at the club at the time, they've told me that first training session, they saw him, they were like, what has happened here? This guy is playing for Croatia. Apparently, just from minute one, just absolutely awful.
And didn't we go through a prolonged work permit stuff for him as well? Like,
yeah, I swear we could have signed him a year earlier or something. I could be remembering that, or the summer before something. Like, yeah, we definitely were. He was on the radar for a while. Whenever I spoke to Cutler, he distanced himself from this signing. But just what were we doing? And it's I think we can sit here and say this, Neil. If he'd have not got injured, Villa probably wouldn't have got promoted.
No,
because Jed Steer would never have come in goal. And then, we'd have just carried on struggling, I think, because we were on a bad run when he was in goal as well.
That's it, yeah. And that's why he's one of these players whereby the shirt sometimes can cloud your judgment of a player, but like not in this instance. That Luke shirt ain't clouding anything for me.
No.
He was a drain on finances, and he was, as you said there, it turned out that he was actually taking the space of somebody who was better than him in Jed Steer.
Madness. That was absolute madness. What I think at the time we signed him was Neeland was just starting to do okay. I know he ended up getting injured anyway, Neeland, but at the time when we signed him, Neeland was still there and playing and he just saved a penalty against Swansea and he was starting to get a little bit better. And then we just decided to knock the confidence out of him as well by signing someone for 7 million that we just didn't need to sign. Now, talking of having your judgment clouded, I imagine this is going to be a difficult one, this next one for you now. Irish legend without a doubt, Shay Given. I don't think he goes into the. Again, Shay Given was a good goalkeeper when he came to Villa, but he was probably on the way down. Let's say his best years were probably behind him when we signed him. He was replacing Brad Friedel, who'd been good. Where are we putting Shay Given? Was part of a team that got to an FA Cup final. He played every round, I believe, in the Villa team that got to the FA Cup final and got pumped.
I think for Villa, I think he's okay. I would have him in the okay group.
Don't put him in good. I was thinking he might be in good.
I'm easy either way. Like as I say, he's not a cult hero.
He made some saves that kept us up against West Brom in the McLeish time.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's true.
Jeez, and then was just at the club for a long time and not playing because of the bomb squad thing. That wasn't really his fault.
No, and that's exactly it. That's probably where my judgment is being clouded because there's a couple of people who were in that bomb squad who, at the time, I would have like backed the club through anything. At the time. So I was like, if they're in the bomb squad, they deserve to be there regardless of who they are. So that's probably what's clouding my judgment on it.
Yeah, I'll put him in good, and what that does is it kind of gives us from cult hero down nice little steps. It looks nice on the visual, doesn't it? Okay, Shay Given, great goalkeeper overall, one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League though. Overall, I'd feel bad putting him in the okay category with the three that are in the okay category. If I think of Scott Carson, I think Shay Given was better for us.
I'd love to chat to Shay Given and ask him about the coming from Man City, or a team massively on the up, and moving to Aston Villa, or a team who were literally just treading water, hoping that they were going to be sold at any moment.
Maybe one day you'll get to do that.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so.
You got his book? I've got his book. It's a good read.
I don't actually.
Oh, I'll send it to you. You can borrow it. Actually, I'm not sending it to you. It'll cost me a fortune. I've got his book. Next up, we've got Nigel Spink, who, look, I didn't see loads of as a kid growing up. He's obviously going in club legend, but when I saw him, he was probably more of an okay/able deputy. But club legend. He won the European Cup. You never get. We won't have seen him play loads. I saw him play a bit, but he has to go in club legend.
Absolutely, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, we don't even need to talk about it.
No.
And he's just bought out. People might be able to see it behind me. He's just bought out whiskey with some of his old teammates. It's behind me. What's it called? Spirit of Rotterdam. That's the one. So I've got that behind me in the background. They were kind enough to send me one. I haven't had any of it yet. I'm not really a massive whiskey drinker, but I will crack it open at some point. Maybe when Neil next comes to this great land, maybe I'll
send it with the book, and I'll send you back.
Yeah, that won't cost me any money at all, Neil. Next up, Bozza, straight in club legend. I know he left in a way that fans wouldn't like. You have to kind of forget about these things as time goes on, I think. Mark Bosnich won 2 cups for Villa. Brilliant character. Couldn't kick. Could save penalties. Funny guy. I still speak to him now. Like, I say still speak to him now. I didn't speak to him when he was playing at the club, but I'm lucky enough to be able to speak to him now, and he was one of my heroes growing up, so that's a true honour. But yeah, club legend now.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, I would definitely make him club legend too.
Was he the goalkeeper when you started following Villa?
Yeah, I started following Villa. Like my first fondest memories would have been of him. I started following Villa around 92, 93. But when I really got into Villa, like I first being aware of Villa around then, and when I got really involved in Villa, Bosnich was it. Like I remember him coming out and absolutely taking the head off Klinsmann. Absolutely busting Klinsmann with his knee. And so I've got very fond memories of staying up late at night to watch Match of the Day at like 10:30 at night or whatever time it was on with my dad, and watching and Bosnich being there for all those 90 seconds you get. It felt like it was like a week long, those highlights. Yeah, so Bosnich was the man.
I think he's on the latest episode of the Fozcast. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, definitely be. I don't know whether he was in the UK or not. If he was, he didn't tell me. Then we should definitely listen to that as Villa fans, because I think there'll be some good stories in there. And Paul Barron told me some great stories, but I'm going to try and get him on the pod, so I'm not going to spoil that yet. But yeah, he told me some wonderful stories about Mark Bosnich. Next up, Neil, Villa's goalkeeper when they returned to the Premier League in 2019, and they decided they didn't need to sign Premier League experienced players anywhere but in goal. Yeah, Tom Heaton. I should say his name really for audio listeners, shouldn't I?
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's great. I don't know where. Sorry, I've just got a delivery or something. We can open it up in the podcast if you want. I'm okay with you putting him wherever you want to put him.
I think good. Well, he
Yeah,
was a deputy to Martinez for a bit, wasn't he? But I
that
think
was it. Yeah. Put it this way. Look, both of us have
okay.
said that. Both of us have said that we would bring him back to be that experienced head within the
He
goalkeeping
just got
room.
injured, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he got injured, but I think if he'd have been there just the whole season playing, I think we would have been okay. I don't think we'd have been in as much trouble as we were. Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
kind of torn here between good and okay. Maybe didn't play enough games to go in the good section.
Yeah, for me, my initial thoughts was okay.
Yeah,
Just
I think
because
you're
of that
right.
season, that initial season where we just about stayed up, but I believe he was injured for parts of that, and then I remember making the argument over a pint with somebody that
Was it Paddy?
was there. No, it wasn't. It was somebody up here who wasn't actually Aston Villa
Maybe they're
fan.
just assuming that the only person you could have possibly gone for a pint with was Paddy.
There's just two of us in
Yeah.
Ireland, yeah. But I remember making the argument at the time the Martinez sold, the Martinez would be back up to Tom Heaton. Because he was what I mean, but
That's a
it
freezing
was a
cold shout from you now.
freezing cold show. Yeah, I've never claimed to be able to scout goalkeepers, but just based on the fact that Tom Heaton had, I felt that he had more to offer considering that he'd been injured that season previously. But thankful that I was wrong.
Good admission of wrongness.
But you're never going to spend 18 million. That was my own argument. Was look, is he going to come in? Is Martinez going to come in and have to beat out Heaton over the course of a season at 18 million? And do we need to spend 18 million? That was the way the argument went. I didn't think that Martinez is going to be perennial backup to Heaton. Yeah, it was just over the price, really.
It's funny these ripple effects because again, Tom Heaton hadn't got injured.
Yeah,
probably never ever have Emi Martinez.
That's it.
So
absolutely.
And then Emi Martinez probably never turns into the goalkeeper that he is today. So there's a lots of these ripple effects doing the rounds, but especially with goalkeepers because of the domino effect of people moving. It is interesting. Next up, good goalkeeper for Villa in my opinion. I'm going to put him straight in there. Sam Johnston. Good goalkeeper, especially in that full season he had in the Championship with us where we nearly got promoted. He was a good goalkeeper for us, Sam.
He was well able to say he was a very good shot stopper. I actually had a feeling that maybe he might come back and be a sub goalkeeper for us this year.
He loves Villa. Let me tell you, he loves Villa. I spoke to someone that knows Sam Johnston, and he loved it at Villa. Absolutely loves Villa. Obviously, he's at Wolves now, so that's not ideal. But he loved it at Villa. He always wanted to come back as well.
Yeah. No, great. And we had him on loan that time, and we couldn't make the deal permanent. And once again, another sliding doors moment because I think you sign a young goalkeeper like him, you don't dip into the market again for maybe 2 or 3 years after the season that he had. You don't get Emi Martinez once more. But he went on to have a fantastic career and
England player.
Yeah, England player Sam Johnston, exactly.
Yeah. Next up, a difficult one to judge, I think. Again, like Schmeichel, just an absolute legend of the game. Pepe Reina won a lot of the stuff that there is to win in his career, but he actually cites staying up with Villa as being one of the biggest achievements of his career now.
I'm going to say able deputy again because again it was that season whereby put it this way, we would have been screwed without him.
Yeah, I think when he came in.
People didn't like him. People didn't like some of his performances.
Didn't he? He started off a bit dodgy.
He used to come absolutely barreling out of the goals at times, like when we were playing a semi-ish, I won't say a high line, but if the ball went in behind, he was coming and going kamikaze straight away. And yeah, exactly. That's the game I'm thinking of. Yeah. But I think okay and able is fair.
I used to love watching him kick.
Yeah.
Not that we got to do that too many times live at the game because of obviously COVID came, but from my abiding memory of him is watching him kick from the heart end and just being in awe of his technique. Great kicker, great dancer as well on the last day of the season now, and singer.
Absolutely, that Latin flair.
Yeah,
I'd kill for it.
Yeah, I think he's okay to go there in okay/able deputy. Thomas Sorensen was actually number one for a long time. Villa had one season in the top 6 with Thomas Sorensen in goal, didn't we, under David O'Leary, and then just the investment kind of stopped and we started falling away. But we lost it. He made a few mistakes. He made a mistake against Blues as well, didn't he, Sorensen? But I think overall he was probably a good goalkeeper for Villa.
Yeah, absolutely good for me. Longevity, his clean sheet record and stuff like that speaks for, like when we're talking about in the pantheon of these players, he's up there. Yeah, he's a good player for me.
Again, I think if he'd have stayed in goal instead of Thomas Sorensen, instead of Scott Carson, I think O'Neill just took a dislike to Sorensen for some reason. I think we'd have done better that season than 6th. And that was in O'Neill's first kind of season where we'd done serious business and stuff and started to spend some money. So it would have been interesting to see what would have happened there. But Thomas Sorensen was a good goalkeeper for Villa, I think.
Scott Carson. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so O'Leary managed Scott Carson at Leeds, and
No, but
or he'd been involved or something
Carson
with
didn't
him at
play
Leeds.
under O'Leary. He was just
No.
O'Neill, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It was just O'Neill. I don't know why we signed him, but never mind. We had a perfectly good goalkeeper, but Martin O'Neill decided we needed Scott Carson for a season. This is a goalkeeper I've got a real soft spot for, not even because of the whole Sheffield United goal line technology incident. I just really liked him for some reason. You know, when you just take a shine to a player for not really any reason at all.
I think he makes the cult hero status.
I think I agree with you. Remember some of those saves against Leicester in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup?
I think he makes cult hero for the memeology that followed him. But second of all, he's gone on to have a pretty decent career since he's left. Like he's Sevilla goalkeeper. He was not a bad goalkeeper. Once again, he was in.
Kicker.
If you've got 3 goalkeepers that are going to start over the course of the season, you don't have a goalkeeper. That's the biggest thing. It's
that's true.
It's like quarterbacks in the NFL. If you've got 3 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback because there has to be one that sets themselves above the other. And for him, the reason that there was, it was a revolving door again. There was so many players. There was lack of consistency in game time in there due to injuries and so on. And I suppose really changeable not really changeable management, but there was just the club was beginning to get itself back on its feet again, and there was an urgency to get promoted. So I'd have him in the cult hero status from that point of view, simply because he had the greatest save in Aston Villa history.
Because they're most important, certainly the most important. But he made some saves against Leicester that night in the semi-final that were just absolutely ridiculous. I think he made a good one in the actual final. I know we lost, but I think he made a good one in the final as well. He was part of that Villa team that got to the Carabao Cup final. We almost forget about it in 2020, just before COVID. He had great kicking technique as well. Yes. This was in the days when me and Tom used to do the podcast in the booth every week. We always used to fall out over Neyland. I used to always come back to, he's a great kicker, and Tom's a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to football. He said, you don't want your goalkeeper to be able to kick, you want your goalkeeper to be able to save. So we used to have a row about that weekly in the booth. So I'm going to put him in cult hero just to annoy Tom Julian, if anything, if he watches this. Finally then, Neil, as I say, we mixed up the order here quite successfully, I would say. Yeah. Brad Friedel. Again, Villa have had a lot of Premier League legends in goal, I would say, but whether they're a legend of the Villa is a different thing. But Villa, people forget, Villa have had Schmeichel, Reina and Friedel. You'd make an argument for all of them being in the top 5 ever Premier League goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Given as well. Yeah. You can make an argument for a few of these goalkeepers, couldn't you?
And Emi Martinez, if you're like, I'd say all of those are definitely in the top 10 of goalkeepers, Premier League goalkeepers. Brad Friedel's a good goalkeeper. He goes in a good category. If there was something between good and club legend, if there was a better than good status there, I'd put him in there. Just very fond memories of him, European football, good times under Martin O'Neill.
Premier League record broken for appearances at Villa as well, didn't they? Consecutively.
Yeah. It's just a good feeling that there was around the club at the time, for that. The massive amounts of hope we had that the club had then as well. I just remember prior, like the James Milner years with him there, and you've got Dunn and you've got James Collins in front of him. Yeah, definitely. And he was a massive part of that team as well. When he was out of the team, there was a drop off to Guzan. At the time.
Without doubt. It's always hard with the number 2 being a number 2, I guess, because there is always a drop off. It's just how it's always going to be the case, isn't it? But I think we've done a decent job there, Neil. Let us know in the comments whether you agree with whether we've done a good job or not. But it was quite a nice trip / haunting trip at times down memory lane there, Neil.
I think there's probably the only one that I might that people might like. Maybe you swap Heaton and Shea Given there. Maybe you put Heaton into the good category. But yeah, for me, I think I'd be happy with that. I'd sign my name to the bottom of that, no problem.
I'm trying to think, if I'm looking at that, what the most controversial thing will be in the comments of what people will pick on.
There's somebody.
I think maybe Neyland in the cult hero might be one that gets picked on.
There is one person that's missing. It's Stefan Pasma.
Nah, he didn't play enough games. Didn't play, famous for other reasons now.
Yeah.
Famous for other reasons, Stefan Pasma. I did think about putting him in. He did cross my mind, but I kind of went off. I went off memory here in all honesty, but I did think he probably had to have played at least 15 games and I didn't think he'd played 15 games for Villa.
No, I can't remember. I remember he was playing in and around the time that Gary Megson was West Brom manager.
Galini as well.
Galini was another
He
person
didn't
who
play
come to
enough
mind there.
games.
Yeah,
Mark Bunn didn't play enough games. Galini, again, for no reason at all, I really liked him. I don't know why.
yeah.
Sometimes, as I say, sometimes that just happens. So let's rattle through the list then that we've come up with, the definitive tier list of Aston Villa goalkeepers in the Premier League era. You've got club legends. We've got Emi Martinez, Nigel Spink, and Mark Bosnich. In cult heroes, Jed Steer and I can't even say his name, Ian Neeland. In good, we've got David James, Shay Given, Sam Johnston, Thomas Sorensen, and Brad Friedel. In the OK/able deputy territory, we've got Michael Oakes, Scott Carson, Brad Guzan, Tom Heaton, and Pepe Reina. Then the one where you don't want to be at, it's the holes in their glove section. It's Peter Schmeichel, it's Robin Olsen, it's Peter Enkelman, and of course, Mr. Lovray Kalinic. So Neil, I'm pretty happy with how that's gone. And thank you for coming and joining me today. I've enjoyed doing this with you.
Not at all. Absolutely anytime. It's been really enjoyable. Yeah, good trip down memory lane.
Yeah, it was. And to return the favour of what you've just done for me, I'm going to text Dick Pierce. I'm going to sort that out for you. I'm going to get you the VIP treatment now. Just let me know how many of you are going, and I'm going to get you that VIP treatment.
Good stuff. Last time we went to see Dick Pierce, myself and Paddy found out where he was afterwards, and it was just literally right beside the venue. And we burst into the room, and like we know Dick, like or whatever, but we burst in. He was like, "Shit, who's coming?" And then he looked, he goes, "You two." So I'll never forget that. He was munching on a burger. Yeah, so that was a Christmas time when we were full to the brim of Christmas cheer. Let's just say,
lovely
when we
stuff.
decided to break open the door. Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a lovely time. I hope it's a wonderful night for you, and you'll obviously be on our channel again. You got anything you want to promote whilst you're here now?
No, I suppose just look. I'm just glad the football's back. You know, we've Hansa Rostock.
Never went away. Never went anywhere.
Never really did.
Villa has, but the rest of it hasn't.
Yeah, and for anybody who's traveling out to Hansa Rostock, do it safely, and get back safely. And I hope you enjoy yourself, and hope that Aston Villa put on a show for you out there. I always keep on, like, I had to look up Hansa Rostock during the week, and I went, they're in the 3rd division now in German football. Their team I was associated were higher in the divisions, but it's going to be a great trip. And then whoever's traveling over the course of this preseason, do it safely, do it with all the enjoyment and all the best will in your hearts, and come back to see the rest of the season for us. And yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to this preseason.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Dad. I mean, Neil, lovely message there at the end. Actually, did something with Mark Schwarzer the other night, and he played for Hansa Rostock one point. He said, "Oh no, did he?" Or he said he played at the ground. And I was there. Oh, Villa were playing there on Saturday. Good bit of Hansa Rostock knowledge there. Right, Neil, thank you very much, and thank you to Match Bingo, who I actually haven't mentioned. I don't think I did mention them at the start. Head to 1874.io/matchbingo to download the app and get yourself some bingo cards around all the football. If you can just download the app for us and sign up, that's really, really helpful to the channel. So if you can do that for me today, it'd be much appreciated. Leave us a comment with whether you agree with our selections. Give us a like, and of course, subscribe. Let's get those subscriber numbers rocketing. Let's hit 30k. That's what I want to do on the channel. I want to hit 30k subscribers as soon as possible. So we're on the journey to 30k at the moment. If you can help us get there, if you're not subscribed already, please do that. And if you have listened via Spotify or Apple, give it 5 stars, leave us a comment, leave us a review, preferably being kind. All that stuff is really, really appreciated. Be back with some more content in the next few days, so keep your eye on our socials for when that's coming out. But as always, I'll end with an Up the Villa. Up the Villa now.
Up the Villa.